Hey, listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey!
A lot happened in this road to Clash at the Castle, but let's first take a look at this WWE Women's Tag Team Championship tournament. Kinda cursed, but we can still run through some updates on it. Obviously, Natalya and Sonya Deville were in the first round. They were meant to be going up against Zoe Stark and Lyons, but looks like Lyons wasn't allowed into Canada. Stark might be a little injured. Got swapped out with Toxic Attraction, who win the match, and go on to get injured during this match.
Yeah, who knows? It is what it is. I do think that the Canada trip did kind of kill some of this for me, because I was really looking forward to seeing what Lyons and Stark could do on the main roster, and while it was nice seeing Toxic Attraction, it's just, it just feels like hollow without Mandy there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was interesting. I don't quite know, like, they still had quite an impressive showing on the main show. I don't think any team in this little corner of the bracket really is gonna affect the, I guess, overall grand finals. I'm still expecting what I'm expecting for that. But you're right, it would have been nice to see Stark, it would have been nice to see Lyons. And now we're just sort of all over the place scrambling with like a fatal four-way second chance kind of match to try and fill in this slot. And yeah, it's looking like a little bit of a scramble around for this tournament. But over on the other side of the bracket, a little bit less of a scramble, playing into the storylines a little bit more. We get to see Kai and Sky advance and head towards the grand finals.
Yeah. This was a good match. Gave all the women a shot to shine. And the logical and correct decision was made with putting Kai and Sky over.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the overarching storyline.
Yeah, it's... Obviously, we were looking forward to seeing this match with Kai and Sky versus Bliss and Asuka. It was, you know, with the storylines happening at the moment, one of the most logical semi-finals. I'm still looking forward to seeing the final with Kai versus Rodriguez again. Which is why I think what's happening down in the corner of the bracket at the moment isn't going to play too much into the factoring. But we'll have to wait and see how the rest of the tournament develops, obviously, as the bits and pieces start to fall into place and we start advancing towards those finals a bit more. But we're getting some good matches out of it, so I don't think we can sit around and complain. We can mention 1,000 times over whether these titles should exist, but hey, we're on a unification spree, so maybe we'll get the NXT tag team, women's tag team titles unified up, eh?
Yeah, we'll definitely get a unification. I think the finals is supposed to happen at Clash of the Castle. That's why they're rushing everything to try to get everything put back together. And I do think that's when we see the return of Sasha Banks and Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
It's either going to be there or the Raw after.
Yeah.
But we're going to see them come out and say, you're not the champions because you haven't beat us. We never lost these titles. And we go from there.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that's the obvious path forward. Sasha Banks and Naomi, I think, is a matter of when, not if. And we're just waiting for that effect, or that return to pop in.
Yeah, and of all the teams in the tournament, the only team that really makes sense when you think that's the end game is Dakota Kai and Io Sky.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the overarching storyline with Bayley's return, her running the show on that side, everything that Bayley and Sasha have been through over the years.
Yeah.
I really do think that is the conclusion. We have Kai and Sky raising their titles above their head, only to have it dampened by the return of the champions that never lost their titles.
Yeah, and we just got to see how it's all going to play into it, because obviously at the moment they're still dealing with Bianca, Bliss, and Asuka as their current feud. They could be one of these people like Theory, who just has like 50 million people who want to beat the snot out of them. That kind of happens, I guess, when you declare that you're running the division or that you're running the show. Usually that does lead to having a line of people behind you.
Which, speaking of a line of people, it looks like one of them's going to be a WWE Hall of Famer.
Continue.
Trish Stratus.
Ah, yes. Okay. Oh,
I was giving you a
lost
segue.
for a second. I know. Look, I got a little spooked in the middle there. I was like, we talking about Kurt Angle next week? We talking about Trish? What are we doing here? Yeah, so Trish shows up, seemingly taking the side of Belair, Asuka, Bliss. I don't know if she's going to be returning to competition. We'll have to wait and see on that one.
There's definitely been words and stuff that's been said on Twitter that seems to suggest a feud between Bayley and Trish Stratus. So I think it is the logical decision to have a match between the two.
Yeah, I think Trish has shown us a few times now that she can go. And so it should probably be a good match. I don't see why it wouldn't be. The Raw Women's division is really heating up with, Bayley and her group coming in. The tag titles being featured mostly on that brand. Trish Stratus coming in. Bianca Belair holding the helm. It's been quite a good time in that division. Where I thought you were going with this, when you started doing a segue, and this what really caught me off guard, as I was talking about Theory and a line of people who wanted to beat him up, and I thought you were going to be trying to segue us into a Johnny Gargano here, and then you were like, Hall of Famer, and I got real confused.
Yeah, it was because you referenced her Theory in having a line of people behind her. Well, so does Bayley.
That is true. Well, everybody's lines are getting longer because Daddy came home and kind of disowned his son.
Yeah. Meanwhile, his son-in-law is coming back too and has decided to create some mayhem of his own.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
The way is having a lot of fun at the moment.
Yeah, I guess piece by piece, which one do you want to do first? You want to do Gargano or do you want to do Lumis?
Let's do Gargano, since that is our theme song for the week.
That's true. It's a pretty simple one as well, just sort of showing up out of nowhere, super kicking Theory. I don't know if he's setting up a feud or it is just another line of people. Everybody hates Theory, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was more about... I mean, I love the fact that Gargano came, no announcement, nothing. Just a return out of nowhere. Theory comes out being Theory, the cocky attitude that he is, and was like, let's run things together, but of course, in his own way of saying, basically, I run the show. Which, of course, got under Johnny Wrestling's skin. And then, this was an excellent way of elevating Gargano, at least in the eyes of the normal people, because Theory is the future, and people realize that, and they either like him or hate him. So having Gargano debut recognizes the fact that they were part of a group in NXT and brings him back into a prominent position in the company.
Yeah, this whole segment was basically just Johnny Gargano saying, I'm back, full stop. And the full stop was the super kick to Theory's chin. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he's going to go from here. Obviously, with Triple H taking over, we'd thought, hints or something here could happen with Johnny, with Candice, etc. But at this point, when you start hearing rumors and whispers about a superstar returning, they're coming back the next night.
Yeah, and I think that's what made this return so special for people, was that it literally came out of nowhere. There wasn't any talk about him debuting imminently.
No.
There was talk saying he could come back now that Triple H is in charge, but there was nothing ever any concrete information, and there definitely wasn't any concrete information he was coming back on Monday.
No. And, compared to Hit Row, compared to Karrion Kross, these ones had, reports that morning coming out. And as you say, Johnny Gargano, radio silence. And from the reports afterwards, it sounds like they did try their darndest to keep his name out of headlines, flying him in on private jets and keeping him in buses and things like that until he just showed up.
Yeah, it reminds me of when the Hardy Boys. While we had an idea it was happening, there was so much misinformation going on that at the same time we thought it wasn't happening.
Yeah, and it made for one epic return. I'm gonna say let's talk about Lumis before we go into our entrance theme. It will be Johnny Gargano's theme, but Lumis as his son-in-law, so we do have a bit of time here. Recapping what happened this week, he, in a match with AJ Styles, which is where we thought he was going with the feud, he kidnaps The Miz, alright, who is currently acting as Tommaso Ciampa's sort of partner, and then, Johnny returns immediately after, so something maybe. Goes over onto NXT, wraps up his love story with Indy Hartwell, reminds us all it's there, and then gets arrested.
Because we still don't know where The Miz is.
Look, he arrested Miz in Canada. I don't know if The Miz is still locked up in Canada somewhere in a basement, or if he got a nice plane back to America.
I don't know, but this is why I always enjoyed the Dexter Lumis character, because this is what I think works about the Sam Saul character from Impact in a PG-ish environment.
Mm-hmm.
Lumis is incredibly creepy, and that comes across when he comes out of the crowd and just snatches a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to work. I was always concerned a little bit about his potential on the main roster, because there is a limit on what you can do as that type of character. But I think Lumis is making it work.
Yeah, Lumis has also got me in that state where I don't quite know what he's about to do. He's doing his love storyline with Indy Hartwell. He's abducting Johnny Gargano's new partner. He's interfering in matches with Theory in them. That's what got everybody talking about the Way stuff. And yeah, there's just so many different pieces you can go with, and there was so much cool storytelling in the background with him appearing, just in the middle, the car crash scene, showing up after Raw goes off the air. Just so many cool little bits and pieces, and, jumping the story over to NXT as well just keeps that brand connected, and it doesn't feel like such a disjointed, almost different universe to Raw and SmackDown. And yeah, there's just this sort of stories floating around through everything. And I do quite enjoy that amount of storytelling. And it is a lot less paint by numbers, I guess, in terms of where we might end up and where we might go. There's probably a good dozen superstars right now who are going to do something in the next month or two, but I can't tell you what that is.
Yeah. I just think that there's and this also just intertwines a lot with the Bobby Lashley story, too. I think Lashley versus Ciampa at Clash of the Champions is going to be a phenomenal match. I don't know if Ciampa's going to claim the title or not there, but it wouldn't surprise me if he does. But I do think that there's a lot going on here, even if we don't know what was going on in the crowd.
Yeah.
Apparently there was a indie wrestler that attacked AJ. We don't know if it was planned by WWE or if it was a indie person going on their making a name for themselves or something. So we don't really know about that part. But it's just another domino to a bigger story, I guess.
Yeah. And to figure out what is happening with that story, we are going to have to wait and see. It is that time of the show where we are going to go into our entrance theme this week. We have not been coy. We've already told you what it is. It is going to be Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling, and that Rebel Hard is playing for you right about now. And you're back to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and NPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh. Let's take a little bit of a look over to NXT Worlds Collide, because I'm sure next week we're not going to have all the time in the world to talk about it. NXT UK, they are colliding with a big bang, of which is going to be headlined by Bron Breakker versus Tyler Bate, and they will be unifying the titles.
Yeah, NXT UK is done after this, so it makes sense to unify all the titles with the main brand's title. It is a bit bittersweet in that this isn't Ilya Dragunov against Bron Breakker.
I would have loved that match.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a great match with Tyler Bate, and Tyler Bate deserves the honor of being the final NXT UK champion, being that he was the first.
Yeah, coming full circle for sure.
But it really does feel like it's a missed opportunity, especially when you had the person who took the torch from Walter missing this. I think that would have been a phenomenal way to end it. I don't know who's going to win this match, but I have a feeling it'll be Bron Breakker.
Yeah, the only thing really that Tyler Bates got to hope for is that Bron Breakker's heading to that main roster. Yeah. That's really the chance he's got to pick up the win here.
Yeah, and there is supposedly, rumors be rumors, a draft sometime after Clash of the Castle, either at the beginning of September or towards the end of September. And it's very likely Bron Breakker may go to the main roster in the draft.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the idea of the unified champion, because I think for each title, I think this is going to be phenomenal the way they have run it out. I do think that UK will pick up one of the titles from the main roster. I'm just not sure which one.
Well, let's look then at the women's. That is the next one. We got NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose. We got NXT UK Women's Champion Meiko Satomura. And weirdly, Blair Davenport also claiming some supremacy over the division. And we're going to be getting a triple threat between those ones, running for the unified NXT Women's Championship.
Yeah, this should be an interesting match.
This could be where Mandy loses it.
Honestly, I want to go for chaos with it. I'm going Davenport.
I think I might be as well.
I think a lot of people are seeing Davenport being included in this to protect both champions. I personally think they want to go in a different direction, and that's why she's in the match.
Yeah, I think Blair Davenport could take the title off of Mandy Rose. Could she take it off Satomura one-on-one? Question marks, but in a triple threat, anything can happen, right? And I don't know, I feel like Satomura's had a really long run with her championship. Mandy Rose has had a really long run with her championship. They've sort of defeated all of the challenges around them. Obviously, there's a bit of the merge coming up, but I don't know, just a bit of a fresh face in that division at the top, I think, is what both the NXT and NXT UK women's divisions could have.
Yeah. So I think this will be the one title that I think ends up. I think it'll either be Blair or I think it'll be Mandy Rose. I don't see Satomura winning, but I have been wrong before.
Well, let's talk about the last match. This one's not even official. I'm gonna be making a guess here, right? But we had ourselves a match this week. It was Gallus versus the NXT UK Tag Team Champions, Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen. We had Pretty Deadly, who have been feuding with Briggs and Jensen, come on out. We had the Diamond Mine, who got attacked by Gallus and also hold the NXT Tag Team Championships, come on out. And I gotta say, we're going to be getting some combination of these four teams and quite possibly a fatal four-way tag team match with both of the titles involved here, maybe.
Maybe. I I think it, personally, I think it just should be the champion. I think it should just be whoever. You could even have the titles change hands on Tuesday and put Gallus
Mm.
over Briggs and Jensen for the titles. But whoever is holding the champions, I want them to be the only ones to face the NXT Tag Team. Now that I said that, it's never going to happen. And we are probably going to get a Fatal 4-Way, because why not? I think the outcome is going to be Pretty Deadly. Okay. I think Pretty Deadly retains their titles, wins the NXT UK titles. And it could either be that, or throw caution to win and put Gallus as the champions.
No support for my boys, the Creed brothers. Where's my support?
They had a title reign. So, honestly, it's just the way it feels right now. I could be shocked and it could be Briggs and Jansen, but it feels like it'll either be Pretty Deadly or Gallus walking out with it.
Well, I'm gonna put all of my money on the Creed brothers, because I believe. At least one of us believes. Well, how much time we got left? Okay, we got about 4 minutes left. We're heating up in this Judgment Day versus the protagonists storyline. Edge in his hometown of Toronto managing to take out Damian Priest. And then, after the match, some chairs being involved, as well as Beth Phoenix coming on back to be the foil to Rhea Ripley, who just sort of kept attacking them with no one to stand against her.
Makes perfect sense. It's another good use of a legend that's in the women's division. I do like the way it's moving in the story. The match was great with it between Edge and Damian Priest. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the end of the storyline is for sure, but this has been fun to watch.
Yeah, I could definitely see the next stop being Edge and Ray and Beth versus the Judgment Day. If you're just simply lining up the pieces, then that's definitely where it looks like it'll head. But if you told me that it was Rhea versus Beth 1-on-1, and then the other 4 tag teaming, I wouldn't be complaining.
No, but I think I agree with you. I think Clash at the Castle, 6-person mixed tag match.
Yeah, it's the most logical sense. As much as I want to see Rhea Ripley and Beth Phoenix go 1-on-1, I think that would be an absolute banger of a match. The 6-person tag team match just makes more sense, I guess.
Yeah, and plus you'll get Rhea versus Beth in the match, because they won't be able to interact with the other wrestlers. So you'll get some time to see them work together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that everything working with this feud is good. It's really good right now.
Yeah, and what do we got? Last topic, I guess. The main event scene, the world titles. The match still, at this moment, Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre for both titles. We obviously got Theory floating in the wings. We got Karrion Kross. But honestly, Karrion Kross is seemingly targeting Drew McIntyre, I guess, a bit more than he is Roman Reigns. I don't know if that's showing us a bit of the future, or if hinting towards the possibility of who's going to win that match, but I don't know. I can't let go of the fact that I feel like Roman Reigns is going to walk out with at least one championship over his shoulder still. But we're getting closer and closer and closer, and all signs still point to Drew.
Yeah. Drew getting a moment in Cardiff would be amazing. I like the idea, but I suddenly there's a option out there that 2 years ago I would have told you were crazy. A year ago I would have told you it was crazy. What if it's Sami Zayn that brings down the bloodline? What if it's Sami Zayn that beats Roman Reigns?
Today, right now, I'm still going to tell you that you're crazy.
The story that they have been telling with Sami, though, makes it make sense when you come to think about it, though. Yes, I realize it's crazy. Yes, I realize it's unlikely. But if it happened, it would be one of the most satisfying ways to end Roman's title reign, in my opinion. This guy that we've seen get disrespected night in and night out by the bloodline, yet still seemingly loyal to it, gets to become Universal Champion.
Look, I think you're crazy, and luckily we're out of time this week, so I can send you off to the psych ward. But look, you get to say I told you so if it eventually happens down the line. But that is all we have time for this week. It's been great talking to you.
Bye, B.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/WrestlingRND Up, or our Twitter page, twitter.com/WrestlingRND Up, or our YouTube page, youtube.com/WrestlingRND Up. And you can tune in next week when we talk all about the Clash at the Castle. Clash at the Castle. You got me messing it up. Clash at the Castle, and all of the matches that are for that show.